Yo guys, and welcome back for another Palworld video. So today I want to talk to you guys a bit about the holy water in the game. If you're like me, you've been going through it like crazy and I just can't ever seem to get enough of it. So let's go ahead and fix that. So I know a really common piece of advice people are going to give is to use these pals that have the higher drop rates. And that is correct. And I do think that that is going to play a huge part of it. However, there's a lot of different pals you can use in the world tree to get this effect. But honestly, all we're really going to use is Menasting and Menasting Terra here. And neither one of them, in my case, have very good passives or anything that's going to help you in any way, shape, or form. The only thing that's important about this is that both of them are going to be condensed level 5. Now, for our equipment, I'm actually going to go ahead and recommend using the Vortex Beater. It uses the traditional assault rifle ammo, which even at this point in the game will be very easy and cheap to make. You don't actually need to use any holy water or anything important that you will have to farm. All of this will be really easy for you to get. And this weapon in particular has a 66% chance of not consuming any ammo while firing. So it's going to be even better. So of course, late game, you could always switch to something like the plasma rifle if you have a ton of extra holy water. But I'm just going to go ahead and recommend this because it is going to be really, really cheap. And also kind of give you an idea about how little of an investment you actually need to make this work. If you don't know, the Vortex Beater is just a weapon that you can get from the Terraria dungeon, and even the lower levels of this gun would still work as well. So the main thing about this path is that it realistically just starts where you normally enter in the world tree for the first time. And as you just go down this way, you'll find that there's just a lot of different pals that you can fight. I normally just fly, but of course you could try and use a regular mount if you wanted to, and you'll start encountering pals down here. And it's pretty easy, like I said, even with a weapon like this from all the way in the Terraria dungeon that's level 45, you can get pretty good drops. We already got 24 water just in 2 mobs right there, and of course better, stronger weapons is going to help you do this even faster. The nice thing is though is that at least with this weapon we don't really have to reload or anything either, so we can just continue running through. When you get over here, you'll actually be able to interact with this fountain right here and get about 10 water. You can get that every time. And typically, I usually just go around here for a little bit until I can activate that a second time. And usually that's a pretty good time to stop. And at that point, you'll have roughly 500, 600 water easily. But yeah, we can just keep going around like this. Once you do get to this side over here, after just running straight down, you can kind of go back this way, and then once we defeated this guy, we can go over here and we can kind of defeat, anything that's over here on the left side, but then we're going to go back and we're going to swing right. The reason why is because when you go back this way, it's actually going to kind of loop back around, and you can kind of just make this one continuous loop. Do notice how you're going to be getting a lot of relics and stuff like this for this route as well. You kind of just anything that you're defeating in the world tree is going to be giving you a lot of this stuff. Another nice thing too about this weapon in particular is those little missiles actually do concuss enemies, so they're not really going to be fighting back or anything. And then yeah, we just kind of come back here. This is going to take us right around where the fountain was. The fountain is over there. So this time we can just go up this way. And then we'll just loop on this side instead. And you can kind of just do whatever you want. You can go back to the fountain and turn left after the fountain. And then loop around back this way, which is another thing, like I said, that you can do. That will bring you over to this side over here. If you do encounter these mobs right here, these guys will actually have a chance of dropping the pal souls. Usually they do. So you can also, get some pal souls that way, but they do take a bit more time to destroy. So I would probably just focus on the actual electric mobs. They're just weaker, and so they don't take as many bullets, for example. And then while you're out here, try and be on the lookout for any additional strange pals. So you'll see occasionally that there are actually pals that are glowing blue and kind of have the world tree effect. And so those pals are going to drop you a ton more of the actual relics and stuff. So usually it's going to be pretty easy and pretty good to to like notice and try and take advantage of. You can also go over here into this cave right here, and there's actually gonna be a chest that sometimes spawns over here. And again, a bunch more pals that we can just get our more holy water from. Yep, and then this chest right here spawns. So you can go ahead and hit that and then loop back around. Usually at this point, I kind of just go back up to the top here and then just more or less start over. Maybe this time, instead of going right after the fountain, maybe this time I'll go left and kind of loop back around that way. But the time that it takes, oh, perfect. This is one of the rare spots that we're actually trying to get. We'll go ahead and kill these guys first. Notice how he's not electric. He's different than every other mob we've come across out here. That's because he's special, right? If we look at him, you should be able to see the blue aura glowing here. This is just one of those abilities that's from the world tree, and if you do happen to catch him, if you're new to the world tree, this will make it so that way you can collect resources from the world tree without it despawning, and you don't need to drink the holy water yourself. So perfect, and we got a ton of relics there. 3 glistening, 15 gorgeous, and 57 dormants. Pretty good. Again, I usually just ignore those stone guys, to be honest. And this will just make it so you can focus on just condensing 2 pals to get your stuff going. Oop, another rare spawn. And again, we can tell they're a rare spawn because of the blue glow that you're seeing right there. Hopefully this will catch. All right, cool, cool. If you do bring Catrice, that is one nice thing she can provide. Oh, actually, this is kind of cool too. So every once in a while, to the left over here, you'll actually get a nest that spawns. Again, notice how the explosions are pretty helpful in like keeping the amount of abilities that these guys are casting down and just doing a bunch of AoE damage. And we don't have to, reload or anything like that, so we can just keep firing indefinitely. And again, because we're not using like high level weaponry, you can just keep shooting as much of this as you want. It just uses sulfur and gunpowder, which is pretty easy to, acquire, especially if you're at this tier in the game. You should have automated ways of pretty much getting anything that you would want there. We'll go ahead and catch this guy actually. Oop. But yeah, you'll find nests like this, and then also they have an actual nest over here, so you can go over here and get this too. Do make sure you pick up the items from these guys. It's definitely worth it just to see if they have anything good. And they can actually drop holy water and stuff for you as well, which is cool. The one downside of this is that when you're out here, oh nice, a min-mob. Do try and hit the back attack bonus, by the way, to just make it easier to catch these guys. So this time we'll probably go left that way, but while you're out here, you will be getting mostly electric parts. So that is one kind of downside of doing this farm. But to be honest, I feel like you're going to be getting so many relics. After we'll defeat these two, we'll check how many relics we've gotten. But after, like, realistically, I feel like for all the awakening pal needs that you get, like, you're just going to be out here getting a bunch of water and then using the relics to actually get the gems that you need. So we'll see. We already have 279 water. I think I had like 80 water to start with or something, but a bunch of relics already. And like I said, this time we'll go the opposite direction. Instead of looping around the right, we'll go to what would have been the left over here. So you can kind of see that. But basically, you just keep flying around this area. This area is going to take a minute to respawn. We need to get a little further away because it just had the nest. But once we get back over here and kind of loop back around the top up there, it should all respawn pretty comfortably. But yep, this is more or less the farm. You just kind of keep running this route, and you'll be getting a ton of relics and a ton of holy water. This route is also really nice. I don't know if you guys have noticed the level of these mobs, but they're actually all pretty low because when you first get in the world tree, it's kind of the expectation that you're gonna be, lower level. So you don't have to deal with any of the higher level or like bigger, more durable mobs, right? That's really the big thing here. I haven't noticed any drop difference between any of the mobs. So defeating the lower ones, which, cost less bullets to use and just kind of die faster, just seems to be like the easier route in my opinion. And again, because I haven't found any difference in the actual drop rates, it just seems like this is more efficient. And like I said, you do get a lot of actual drops for the relics and stuff. So you can kind of just fly around here, and again, we just kind of get back to where we started from and continue the route. So this is kind of what we have going on so far. I'm gonna do this. I'll set a timer for like 5 more minutes, and then we'll kind of come back and look at how much other stuff that we have. Okay, so we are back after 5 minutes, and I actually did manage to find an additional rare, so that was kind of nice. But it looks like we have 445 or so holy water, and then a lot of relics. So 94 blues, 230 of the greens, 671 of the regulars, 8 of the purples, and 6 of the yellows. Honestly, overall, it wasn't a very good harvest. It kind of felt like a lot of the mobs that I was fighting didn't actually drop the water this time around, but it just kind of is random and there's no like guarantee anyway. Overall, I feel like that's really not terrible for about 5 minutes worth of effort. And again, there's lots of advantages to this farm versus other farms, and purely the fact that like it's just so cheap to do. We only ended up using, I want to say like maybe 600 bullets or so, maybe. I think we had about anywhere from like 1800 to like 2000. So it's pretty cheap in terms of that, and you don't really need any like high-tech weaponry or anything like that either. You don't really even need like the armor or anything either. And again, only having to do 2 pals here because we're not really benefiting from any of these other pals is also kind of a game changer, right? Instead of needing a full team of 5, just needing to get 2 are pretty simple. And in case you're wondering, this is kind of what the total kind of loot looks like for that little bit of farming that we did. You can see we basically ended up getting like every single implant here, which is pretty cool. 2 of the double-edged holy sword is pretty nice. Even 3 of the swift is pretty cool. We also got like immortality and other stuff like that. Vampiric, lots of blueprints. So we got a rare quality cold resist armor, which is nice. And then, you know, lots of fruits, all kinds of stuff, right? And this is kind of what I was talking about earlier. It doesn't really matter too much, so we're getting more electric radiant gems, because even for that small amount of farming, we still got enough for almost awakening like several other pals. We can get like 1 dragon, we can get multiple fires, can almost get a water. And again, that was only from a small amount of farming. You're realistically going to need a lot more holy water than this. And so you're going to be out there a fair bit, especially if you're going to try and min-max any of your base using the new like food growing items or stuff like that. Those take 50 a piece. And so even at 445, like that's not very many. But you know, we also did get a lot of electric organs and stuff too. Overall, I would say this is a pretty good haul, even though the actual run this time felt like it was a little bit lighter than normal. The actual loot that I got out of it was perhaps a little bit better than normal. I feel like I don't normally get this many good implants. I'm more often getting a bunch of implants that I don't really need, like part of the immovable king. I have a lot of those. Again, I feel like this is a pretty good farm. It's simple, it's cheap, and you don't really need much investment to do. Well, hopefully you guys found this to be helpful. As far as I know, the server that I'm playing on doesn't actually have increased drop rates or anything, but do know that is an option for you if you find that you're getting more annoyed by this. There is also a way to auto farm it, and I'll probably make a short or a small video about that in the future if that's something that you want to do. But I feel like this really isn't too bad of a solution. So if you guys enjoyed the video, leave the video a like down below. Comment down below if you guys have any questions, or if you guys think there's a better route, let me know. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more stuff like this, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Have a good one, guys. Peace.